All right. So how did you get your start as a touring musician?
Um, let's see. Well, I had a couple of things. First of all, when it comes to touring with the pop artists like Enrique and Michael and all those guys, really Jennifer Batten was probably the big in with that. She was the big one. She had a gig with Michael Jackson. She was the lead guitarist um, for Michael Jackson, and she was a fan of mine, which was very convenient and of course really flattering. She's an amazing guitarist, and I think we met at a NAMM show back in the early '90s, and she sort of indicated to me that she was thinking about leaving, and that if she did, she would recommend me. That she thought I'd be ideal for that band if I wanted the gig, and I said, of course, I'd love to have that gig. So there's a long story that goes with that, but I mean, the simple answer to your question is that's kind of she was probably the responsible for the start of it for me.
Well, let's hear the long story. I mean, this is a podcast. Let's go for it. I want to hear it.
Well, okay, so I don't know. I mean, so Jennifer, if you're listening to this right now, I could be off, but the sense that I get, because it is a bit of a story, she she said to me that she's stepping off, and she's going to recommend me. So I got my 8x10, got my press kit together. They needed to beat it solid. They needed to know I could play the beat it solid, so I recorded myself playing the beat it solid. I sent it to them. Everything looked good, and then she did leave, but then she let me know that unfortunately Michael was looking for another female, so he didn't hire me. But she said be on standby because we may not find him. He may not find him. Then he ended up hiring a female. I don't remember who it was, and then hiring Jennifer to coach the female on tour. So I don't know exactly what's going on here because it's like she's the whole point was she's leaving the tour, but if now she's back on tour as a coach, then my gut feeling or what I'm sensing is that maybe she wanted uh, a raise that they weren't going to give her, and so she left. And then when they discovered that nobody can really, there are no females out there that can do what she does, they hired her back and probably gave her the money that she wanted because she did end up coming back. So then her mother got ill, and once again she got in contact with me to let me know that she's probably going to be stepping off at some point to care for her mother. And at this time they probably are going to get me because they've already gone through the trying to hire a girl thing doesn't work. So this was really kind of scary because she sent me all the demos. She sent me all of her guitar parts. She actually recorded a rehearsal of theirs with the mic close to her amp so I could hear everything she's doing. And she was very helpful in letting me know she was using what was the unit she was using? It was a digital unit with all these presets and stuff. I can't remember the stuff from back then, but she was even writing the presets down for me and letting me know that because I'm going to have to use her rig when I get there. So I was rehearsing this stuff for a while, and many months went by and nothing was happening. And I'm turning down gigs. I had an opportunity to go to Japan at one point. I didn't go because I didn't want to miss this call. And this is before the age of cell phones, right? This is like '96, and finally I said I got to get back to my life. I can't base my life on this phone call that might happen. I got to just get back to work. So I kind of just stopped listening to stuff. I stopped rehearsing it, and I just kind of forgot about it. And a few months went by. I hadn't really listened to anything. And then it's a Monday night. I was giving a guitar lesson in Pennsylvania, and around 8 o'clock, I get this frantic phone call from the music director for Michael Jackson, who says, "So listen, Greg, we're going to need you on a plane tomorrow morning at 6 from Newark Airport, and so I just want to let you know that you got to be ready. You got to be ready to go." So I'm freaking out, right? Because I'm like, I haven't listened to this stuff. Like, what? So his name was Brad Buxer. I said, Brad, when's the next gig? So basically what he was saying is, it's Monday night. We need you to be here by Tuesday for a gig in Amsterdam on Wednesday. So that Wednesday is the show. And I'm like, well, I said, when's the next show after Wednesday? He said, the next show after Wednesday is the Friday show. I said, Brad, I promise I can be totally ready for the Friday show. He's like, no, I need you for this show. If you can't do it, then we're going to have to get somebody else. So I just went for it. And, but when you think about this was kind of crazy, right? Because it's 2 hours to Newark Airport. You have to be there 2 hours in advance. It's already 8 o'clock. So for me to be there by 4 o'clock, my flight's scheduled for 6. I got to be there by 4, which means I have to leave by 2. So I have like 6 hours to completely prepare for a Michael Jackson tour. And I have to go shopping. I could, it was nuts. And back then we had the Walkmans, I'm putting the Walkman on, I'm trying to listen to these songs, rewinding stuff, trying to wash my underwear, running out the store to get some stuff. It was insane. Anyway, somehow we made it. I get there and we had a rehearsal on Wednesday morning. And it was the day of the show. And I was kind of nervous, but we got through like first 3 or 4 songs, 4 or 5 songs maybe. And I was starting to feel, all right, I think I can do this. I think we can do this. And the production manager comes up to me and says, yeah, it sounds pretty good. He said, so let's talk about the choreography. And I was like, what? So it was nuts. And if you watch one of those shows, that was the History Tour, which was like mid-90s. There's a lot of stuff that Jennifer, she's really the only one that's interacting with Michael, right? She's the only one that's like stepping out of her spot to go do things. Everybody else is kind of at their post. She has to go out there for the beat it solo. There's a pyro guitar, this thing that shoots like an explosive out of the headstock. He's like giving me this quick lesson in how to do this. And he's like, goes through it really fast. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna step over there, blah, blah, blah. Keep it away from point it that way, otherwise you blow your face off. You don't want to do that. I'm like, whoa, slow down. So it was nuts. I had to create this sort of poster size cheat sheet that went all around the pedal board that would be like, song 1, verse, preset 041, pre-chorus, preset 16, back to verse, chorus, preset, blah, 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 second verse, step forward, take 2 spins around, wait for dancers, step back, 041, so I had to go. It was kind of nuts. The first few gigs were like, and her tech was great. He was always tapping me on the shoulder, reminding me, hey, remember, you got to go over here right after this. Like, oh, thank you. So it was helpful, but it was crazy. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a crazy experience. But the thing is, once you have a Michael Jackson gig, that was my first big gig like that. You're kind of in, right? Because the industry is very much like most industries where, you have credibility based on who you've rubbed elbows with and what you've done. So once, and it's actually, you find that it becomes important or valuable for other music directors to say, we have Michael Jackson's guitarist. We've got Michael the guitarist, right? So it becomes easier to get gigs because you've got that thing attached to you. But anyway, that was my way in.
Okay, so many questions because that is an amazing story. God, I couldn't believe how amazing that was. All right, so I got to ask about this pyro guitar. Okay, like, does it have a trigger? Like, because I've seen the footage. I don't think I've seen it with you, but I've seen it with Jennifer, where, she has the guitar and it's like it is, the flames are coming out the headstock. That's what you're talking about, right? So how did it work? Did the text have like a trigger? Did you have a trigger? I mean, is it the tone knob? I mean, what is it? Like, what's?
Yeah, it was 3 separate switches. I remember that. It was 3 separate switches. And I remember and that's why it was so weird when he was giving me the instructions, because he was going through it so fast. Like, hey, you're gonna step over here, and there's choreography involved. So you have to wait for like the dancers to come through. You got to go over to stage right, and then wait for this. Then you go over to the corner of stage right, and then you hit the second switch, and then that ignites something, you got to be careful at that point because some filament is heating up or whatever the heck's happening. And then you got to wait for Michael to come to the ramp, and then you follow him, and then you go out there and hit the third switch, and then keep it away from you. So I don't remember specifically. It was many years ago, but I remember it was like 3 switches, 3 things I had to do. Nobody's helping me. I have to do it correctly. So after one rehearsal.
That's Oh, so crazy. So one of the things, if anybody's seen Is This It, they know how incredibly articulate Michael Jackson's ears are when it comes to his band, his rehearsal, the dancers, everything like that. Did you ever have any issues where Michael confronted you about maybe like a wrong note you played or a misstep in choreography? If not you, did you see him go after anybody else? And if so, how did he handle it? And how did you or the other person handle it?
He did. I did have an issue, to be honest with you, and I couldn't believe it. And I actually haven't seen that movie, which is I apologize. I really need to go see it. I feel really ridiculous right now, but I've heard of that, and I experienced that firsthand. So there was a song that a lot of the songs that Michael Jackson songs and Jackson 5 songs really are about rhythm guitar playing. There's not a whole lot of soloing. Some of the later stuff there's soloing, but that's kind of the easy part. The tougher stuff is that syncopated funk, clunky, clean, compressed rhythm thing. And his pocket is so insane. So there was a part that I was playing, I think it might have been on the song Want to Be Starting Something. I don't remember for sure, but I had a pretty easy part, but it was just a funk rhythm part. So and this is like gig number 4, right? So I'm walking, we get done with the gig, we get done with the show backstage, and I start walking towards the bus, and Michael literally walks up to me. He comes up, I see him behind me, I'm like, that's Michael, that is. He's not coming up to me, is he? He's coming up to me. Oh, he's coming up to me. So he walks right up to me, and he stops, and he says, he kind of walks beside me. He says, hey, you're doing a really nice job. Everything sounds pretty good. But on such and such song, if you're a little on top of the groove a little bit. You can pull that back a little bit. And whatever song it was, you have to see what he's doing in the show during that part. He's like way over there, like on some, I don't know, he's like flying through the air or something. You wouldn't even think he's paying attention to anything, but he's listening to everything. And if you watch him, you can see that he's guided by the feel of the music. He needs the music. He's the way he is based on how good the music is. So it means everything to him. So he's gonna feel it and notice immediately when something's not perfect. And so that blew my mind. It blew my mind that he recognized this small little guitar part. But yeah, that happened to me.
And did you go and practice that part a million times until you had it down in the backbeat, or was it just like, okay, next time this comes up, I'm gonna nail this part?
I paid more attention. Yeah, I just paid more attention and didn't take it. You learn that you can't just take these little parts. They all mean something, right? We tend to think like, oh, all I'm doing is it's cool. There's so much stuff that's in the pocket here. No one's going to notice if I'm not dead on, but he will. So you just learn to take every single part real seriously. That's what changed.